Okay, Donna, we're live.
Great.
So obviously I'm going to say good afternoon to anyone in the UK, good morning to anyone in the States, and if you're further east than the UK, then it might be the afternoon or evening. So, good afternoon, welcome. Just going to give a second. If anyone is actually watching right now, if they could comment in the chat, that would be lovely, just to know that we're talking to people, not just ourselves. But failing that, if we are just talking to ourselves, that makes it, less nerve-wracking because it's just me and you having a conversation. Okay. No one's here. That's fine. Donna, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Thanks for asking me on.
Would you mind introducing yourself, please?
Yes, I am Donna Robertson. I am based just outside of Glasgow. I'm not from Glasgow. I'm from Inverness, which some people pick up on when they hear the accent. But I am in Glasgow. I live here with my husband, Mark, and my two children, Poppy and Ruby. Poppy's getting her organised for school starting this year, and Ruby is coming up for 3, and she thinks she's joining her sister in school. So she's going to be a bit disappointed in the middle of August when she's not going along.
I'm not sure what's happened, but you've just kind of broke up a little bit there. I didn't quite hear all of that.
Do you want me to start over?
Yes, please.
Okay, no bother.
Yep. Sorry.
No, that's fine. So I'm saying I'm Donna Robertson.
Yep.
I am based just outside of Glasgow. Got that part. I'm not from Glasgow, though. I'm from Inverness. That's where I was brought up. Most people can spot that if they know the Inverness accent, because I've not lost it. And I live with my husband, Mark, and my two children, Poppy and Ruby. I don't know if you caught that Poppy is 5, so she's getting ready for going to school this year. So we're getting her all organised, and Ruby is coming up for 3. And she thinks she's going to school. She thinks that she can't be going anywhere without her sister. So she's going to be so disappointed come middle of August when she's not actually walking into the school gates.
I feel sorry for Ruby already. But surely she'll get used to it because it means she gets more time with mommy and daddy to herself. Yeah. Awesome. So the reason why I invited you to talk to me today is because I think you're awesome. You run a very, very cool business, and the way you do it is, akin to Amakari. You make something that, let's be honest, most people consider dull and uninteresting, quite interesting. So what do you do?
I work in insurance. So I focus on business insurance, and I've been in insurance for 21 years, 2 years when I first started out doing personal lines, so car, household, personal travel, and then I moved into commercial. So I focus entirely on business insurance. Cool. And I love it.
Oh, why do you love it?
Oh, okay. I love it because you get to speak to so many different people, and you get to ask them all those awkward questions that you wouldn't get to ask if you were just having a general conversation down at the pub. So you get to ask a bit more about, how do they do what they do? What's their turnover? What's the employee culture like? What do they pay out in wages? Just all the nice nitty gritty bits and pieces that I get to find out.
Cool. So you like being a little bit nosy, but you use it to good. Use it for the good.
Use it for the good.
Okay. Silly question, throwing that one in there next. Could you tell us 3 things about yourself that we may not know based on just your appearance?
So does this qualify? Let me think. I ran the London Marathon. I love running, and one day I want to do an Ironman.
Wow.
That work? Yeah.
Remind me again. What's an Ironman? Because I forget.
It's the running, swimming, and cycling. So it's a full marathon. The cycling is how many miles is it? Maybe 128, and a couple of miles of swimming, all at the one time.
All in one big race.
All in one day. Yeah. So I'd love to do that. I once rented out my flat to Donny Osmond's son.
Okay, that's cool.
Totally random in Inverness. And third thing, I love stargazing. So I would love to go somewhere and see the proper Northern Lights.
Oh, cool. So do you have a telescope and everything?
I bought one for my dad, so occasionally we look through that. But yeah, I can't beat sitting out on a nice clear night and just looking up at the stars.
That's cool.
Bit geeky.
No, that's awesome. Good to know. I didn't know that about you either. That's just news to me. I'm interested to bring it back to business. So what inspired you to start Squared Insurance Brokers?
I think it was crazy pregnancy hormones. I think I just went nuts when pregnant. But so I first started thinking about it when I was on maternity leave with Poppy. But it wasn't until I went back to work after having Ruby, so a few years later, that I took the plunge. And I decided I wanted to do it, I guess, because of more control. I wanted to be in control of my hours. I wanted to be in control of how clients were serviced. I wanted to be in control as well of how much I earned, rather than somebody else dictate how much I could earn. But I also wanted to do things a bit differently. So, as you know, insurance is so traditional, and the way brokers go about it is still very traditional. And I was wanting to change how we did that approach. And I just wasn't getting the encouragement back from my employers. So I thought, well, rather than try and get everyone on board with me, why not just go out and do it myself? You know, like for insurance, we still send underwriters written presentations, but not everybody likes to communicate that way. I know when I get a really long email, it just puts me off. But we've all got, you know, our smartphones. Why are we not taking more pictures? Why are we not doing more videos? Also, for some bizarre reason, the industry as a whole try and keep clients and insurers apart. I don't really know the full reason for it, but I like to try and bring those two together, because who can speak better about their businesses than the business owners themselves? So rather than me, you know, put into a written presentation, they do X, Y, and Z, why not hear it from the horse's mouth with them being able to talk passionately about their business? And as well, the other things that frustrated me was, quite often in the past, I've seen brokers shoehorn clients' businesses into a particular insurer because it helps them trigger an overrider deal. I just don't want to go down that route. I want to be able to provide a proper service, place clients with insurers that really fit their needs. And that's why I began to start Squared Insurance Brokers, to try and do it differently.
Just going to pick up on something you said there. What's an overrider deal? I have no idea what that is.
So, how we get paid by insurers or clients can vary. So we can either do it through commission, and there's the commission that's built into the premiums that the client pays, and then the insurer pays that back to the broker. Or we can charge a client a fee for the service we provide. But if you have a bulk of business with an insurer, pick any insurer, and if they say, right, you've got £500,000 worth of written premium with us, if you can get that to 750, we'll pay you an extra 2% over the whole premium that you placed with us. So it's to the broker's advantage that they place more business with that particular insurer, because they'll earn more from it. It's like free money.
Got it. Okay. And I guess that can lead to kind of unhealthy incentives, right? Based on brokers and how they engage and interact. So I guess that's one of the frustrations, like you said. Is it unethical, or just it drives the wrong behavior?
Drives the wrong behavior, I would say.
Okay, that's fair enough. And sorry, I just have to give a shout out very quickly to Peter Sugden, a long-time friend of mine. I think he's in New Zealand. I don't know if he's visiting the UK at the moment,
fab.
So if he's in New Zealand, then he's a good, 12 hours ahead of us. Like, he's literally next day. So that's really cool. Hey Pete, how's it going? Why did you pick the name Squared for Squared Insurance Brokers? Because you were anything but square. Like, it's usually like an insult. He's kind of square, kind of boring, but like, why Squared?
So it took a while to get the business name, and I was trying to come up with something that incorporated the girls, and they're called Poppy and Ruby, which are both, I guess, shades of red. So then we were trying to work around the word red, and eventually it was my husband Mark that came up with Squared. And I just thought it worked, and I could, have some cheesy lines like, that's your insurance squared off. You really work on that Squared name, but ultimately that's the inspiration behind the name.
In the amount of time that I've known you, I don't think you've ever used a squared pun to relate to your business. That's your insurance squared away or squared off. Okay, so you're missing a trick there. I'm missing a trick.
I'm going to have to add that in.
Okay. This is going to be a really embarrassing question for me to ask, right? Because it might seem really obvious, but I have to ask it. What does indemnity mean?
Let me just quickly Google that.
Insurers always like indemnity. Like, I think I know what it means, but like.
Yeah, I know. So it's the amount of protection you have. So if you've got a policy and it's got a limit of indemnity on it, that's the amount the insurer will pay for any claims made against you or compensation you have to need to pay to a third party. So it's similar to when you're insuring your house insurance, which is more a sum insured. You've got, I don't know, it takes £500,000 to reinstate your buildings insurance, so you insure for 500,000. So it's similar to that, but it's more claims made against you. So in your professional capacity, if I say that you have caused me a financial loss as a result of the advice you've given me, then your limit of indemnity is what the insurer will pay out on if you're found to be negligent.
Got it. And linking that to something that we discussed previously, preferred indemnity insurance jargon, right? So AOC versus AGG. Again, I don't think anyone else but insurers would know that. Would you
Yeah.
mind explaining what that is and how it works in layman's terms?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of acronyms, but for professional indemnity, you've got AOC being any one claim. So if you've got a limit of £1 million as your limit of indemnity, then if you have a claim through the year, you still have £1 million for every other claim that may come forward. So any one claim, you've got up to £1 million. Whereas if you're in the AGG, the aggregate, then you've only got £1 million for that 1 year. So if you have a claim halfway into the year and you pay out 500,000, it means you've only got £500,000 left for the remainder of the year. So you've got to be really conscious of what limit you're buying.
And can I assume that means AOC is generally more expensive than AGG because the insurance provider is actually taking on more risk, right, in theory?
Yeah. It's preferred to get it on any one claim, but the professional indemnity market is tricky at the moment and not all insurers will offer it. But it is something that needs to be to watch out for. And if you're switching between insurers as well, you've got to really watch that you're not moving from an any one claim to an aggregate basis without realising, because then you're at a bit of a disadvantage there.
Ah, and that's where you come in, right? You're like, you tell me I need to save some money on insurance, and then I get some quotes, and then I might see a really cool quote, I can change that, and you go like, no, that you're switching from AOC to AGG. It's actually much worse for you in the future.
Yes, it's far nicer. I had a recent one actually where they were on an aggregate limit. I was able to save money and get them on an any one claim basis and for a lower excess. That's just a win-win all round.
Wow. So you're just that good. I'm gonna do some promo for you because I know you're not gonna do it because you're quite a humble person. Donna Robertson, Squared Insurance. She's just that good. Sorry, you wouldn't say that. I will, because you've helped out Amakari as well, so that's cool. Okay, I know we can't name names, but I'm going to ask you a question. All right, so do you find it easier or harder working with different insurers, and if so, why?
Yes, and I guess this is going to be the same in every industry. It's still a massive relationship industry. You know those that you like, you know those that are a bit trickier to deal with. You've got some insurers that are super supportive, especially for me as a sort of startup business. They're really supportive. And with those ones, I guess the benefit is that the moment you get a new risk in, they get to see it first because they've helped you in the past. Those that have been harder to place business with probably are lower down on the list to speak to. Yeah. So yeah, I would say there's the ones that are easier and the ones that are a bit more tricky.
Cool. And kind of follow-up question, and hopefully it makes sense, right? What as a broker, what's the most frustrating thing that a prospect can do to you or for you, and what's the most frustrating thing that clients can do to you or for you? I think that's two questions in one. But
okay, prospect wise, the most frustrating thing for me would be whether they are genuinely looking for another broker or not. And I have been in this position earlier on in the year where I had the opportunity, and the director came direct to me to ask if I could quote for their business. Great, super excited. It was a nice big business. We had a few conversations, and at least on 3 occasions I did say, have I got a genuine opportunity here? If you're just looking for a lower price, just take a price back to your existing broker. I'm sure they'll do something with it. And on each occasion they said, yes, you've got a genuine opportunity here. And there was something in my gut that I just didn't feel as though there was that opportunity, but it was too big a case to walk away from. And maybe that's my naivety from being quite new into business. But it was too big to walk away from. But at the end of the day, once I put forward my quotes, that exact same thing happened. They took all the quotes, they took it to their existing broker. The broker was then able to use all the work that I had done and place the business. So I had clearly come back with a better price, a better proposition. And fair play, one of the insurers refused to give up their terms because we had worked on it exclusively together. But the other 4 insurers did roll over and just allowed the other broker to just pick up all that intellectual property and place the business. And that was a real kick in the teeth.
That is really not cool. So essentially, look, if you're looking for a broker, the broker does a lot of work without being paid first. If they get you a better quote, probably switch to that broker instead of going to your current broker, because that's they've done all the work. They're the ones that actually hustled for you, right? That's it. That's the message.
The other broker, so the broker, I think, had been their broker for the previous 10 years. And I completely appreciate that they've got a great relationship in place. But they've held it for 10 years. They hold 10 years worth of data on that client. So they were the best place to get the best price. I've come in, with limited information, and I've clearly done a better job, because otherwise I wouldn't need to use my terms from the other insurers. So at that stage, and as you say, we don't get paid until the cover's placed. So I would be working on that for 2 to 3 months. And once it moves over with the other broker, I don't get paid at all. So that's 2 to 3 months of work, just you get nothing for. And maybe that's not known. It's not as though we charge a fee for the services.
No, I think that's good to know. So generally speaking, just to paraphrase what you said and try not to put words in your mouth, if you go to an insurance broker, this is to everyone, and you look to get a quote and they give you the best quote, like, they don't get paid unless you place with them. So that's important to know, right? So you've worked very, very hard to get the business, and you should be rewarded on completion and success. That makes sense. And okay, next one. And
is this the existing clients one?
It is the existing clients one. You can plead the fifth on that one if you want, because obviously you don't want to incriminate some of your current clients. Like giving examples.
No, I think the key thing I would say there is, and this is what I want to do within Squared Insurance Brokers, is be on the it sounds a bit cheesy, but on the journey with the clients. So I really want to be involved in their businesses. I don't want to be the type of broker that will just call on them, 1 year to the next. Oh, your insurance is due for renewal, I'm here to collect the check. I want to be there at stages of the business, so really involved with them, so that if they're making any planned changes within the business, then I just keep their insurance policy moving in line with it. And that's why, in each client, I will check in with you throughout the year. If you're the very, very small business that you're looking like you're going to remain the same for the next 12 months, then I'll just check in at the halfway point through the year. Is everything still the same? Do you want to have a catch up? Is there any changes in your business that we should know of? But then other clients would in contact more often. And on the larger cases that have a lot going on, we schedule in quarterly meetings, so that I can be involved and I can get the heads up of what they're planning. Because there's nothing worse when you're blindsided at the last minute, a client's made a change, they've forgotten to tell the insurance broker, you've got to drop everything, try and deal with it. And it just doesn't serve anyone well. They're not getting the best information back from the broker. The insurer is under pressure to return something back to the broker. It's just, if you know about it and you can adapt the policy with good time, then that's the ideal scenario.
It's funny you say that, because I think that's kind of how we resonated. Like Amakari is very similar. So accountancy, similar to insurance brokers in terms of traditional ways of doing things. And yeah, that's changing. Like Amakari wants to be seen as a value add, and there's no point in just rocking up at the end of the year and telling a client they've got a huge tax bill and $4,000 for the service. That's not helpful. But actually, if we understand, whether you're a micro entity, a sole trader, or a bigger business, what's happening in your business, what's happening in your personal life, how much money do you need to get out of your business for whatever reason? If I know that ahead of time, then we deliver a much better service, as opposed to waiting to year end, rushing, not getting the best kind of deductions and all that kind of stuff. It just it doesn't work. It can't work that way anymore. So no, it's awesome. I noticed as you stood up there and got excited and passionate, you have a branded t-shirt. Would you mind just sharing that joke? See, yes. I've gone for pure color. There is no logo on it, but it's just pure yellowness. So.
You're the brand color.
Yeah. No, I like that. That's really cool. Okay, moving on. Complete segue. You recently employed someone. Is that correct? That's quite a milestone.
I did. Yes. That was a great moment.
How did you find that whole experience? Like, and I'm going to ask lots of questions in one go, so feel free to just go where. How did you find that experience? At what point did you know you need to employ someone, and how did you go about doing it? Because obviously this is stuff that other people might appreciate as their businesses grow.
So I was just at the stage that I wouldn't be able to grow any further if I didn't get any help. I was already working all the hours that I possibly could. Things were still starting to get on top of me. I am key on, I want to be able to deliver a good service. If a client chases me, you feel like you've failed. You want to always be ahead of the game. And I was starting to feel as though the plates were starting to drop. So I knew that at that stage I needed extra help. I'd been using help from a virtual assistant, which was really good, just general bits in the business, but I needed somebody insurance-y to get involved. And at that stage, that's where I started to look. And I did probably what most other people did. I asked within the industry, I asked within insurers that maybe spoke to different brokers if they were looking for a move. I advertised on Indeed, but it ended up being the power of LinkedIn. The power of LinkedIn is what got me Shakira.
Okay, and so what, you advertised the job on LinkedIn and she applied, or?
It was through somebody else. Somebody else knew that she was looking, and they notified her to my advert, and then we got talking. and she is exactly what I was looking for. So I'm delighted. The benefit of, I guess, the whole COVID situation and all of us embracing Zoom is that I took advantage of not needing somebody to be local to me. So she is based down in East Sussex. I'm outside of Glasgow. We couldn't be we could be further apart, but we are very far apart.
That is pretty far apart. I didn't realize. I thought she was in Scotland with you. That's insane.
No. So she's closer
incredible.
to you. Yeah. So she's down there, and it works. She works from home. It's what she was looking for. She was looking for a sort of flexible job. I dare say there's things that we miss out on by not sitting in the same office together, but we have regular Zoom meetings. We have loads of phone calls, and yeah, it just works.
That's awesome. And I've seen her a lot on LinkedIn. Like, she is someone I definitely want to meet. She has a fantastic personality. So
yeah,
good hire. Not that you need my endorsement, but yeah, she seems awesome. So yeah, that's really cool.
It's always, you're always a bit nervous when you're taking on any employees, but the first employee has to really fit in, and it's going to be a massive culture shock for them as well. Shakira's gone from being in massive companies to having just one other colleague.
Yeah, well, I think it's working for you guys so far. Honestly, I love the content you guys deliver, and yeah, it's awesome. Okay, good. My next question, next segue. What can I, as a potential client, look for in an insurance broker? Like, are there some do's, don'ts, red flags? What should I look for when I look for a new broker?
I would, if I was a client and I was doing my business insurance, I would look at, first of all, when is my broker in touch with me? Do I need to chase them up for the renewal, or are they coming to me with loads of time ahead of the renewal? And when they're coming to me, are they asking relevant questions? Are they coming along to talk about my business and what changes there's been? Or are they here to talk about the weather and, what TV they've watched at the weekend? So are they asking actual relevant questions? Are they then taking that to the market? Do you know what level of marketing they're doing for you? Are they really checking out the insurers that's out there? Here's a key one. Do they understand my business? Could they describe back to me what I do? Because quite often brokers don't really know, and there's a lot of bluffing that goes on. So do they truly know?
Maybe you shouldn't tell. Maybe you shouldn't say that. I might put a target on your back. Like, I didn't know there was bluffing involved. I just. Yeah.
Well, do you know what? It's for that reason as well that I've started to share some of my submissions that I send to the market with the client, because that way they can catch any errors that I've made. I may think I know, but do I really know? So does the broker really know?
I admire your honesty, by the way. That's something. No, I think that's really refreshing. Like, and do you mind if I just jump on as well? Because like a lot of people talk about accountants as well, and I can guarantee and say this to anyone who's listening or watching, either now or later, there is no one accountant in the UK that's going to know everything about accounting.
Yeah.
And if they do, they're lying. And I'll tell you why, because our UK tax code is so complex. And don't get me wrong, there are people out there who are far more experienced than me, that are amazing, who've got audit experience, and they'll know not all anything. But generally speaking, there's not one person that can know everything. And then, sorry, I've jumped on your point. A lot of it, especially in accounting, is dealer's choice. How you put money through the business and how you account for that is dependent on what the accountant actually wants to do and how the business actually operates. And that's why accountants can't know everything about every single business, because it's just not possible, because they all operate differently. So that's it. Sorry, just jumping on that point.
No, I completely agree. In fact, sometimes I describe myself as being a GP to insurance, because you've got a very general knowledge on everything. But there will be other specialists out there if it's a niche area.
So I just need to give a shout out. Do you know Ian Milsom by any chance? He's also watching and he's commented from LinkedIn. Thank you, Ian Milsom. Nice. Is he a friend of yours or just
No? I don't know Ian. That's great.
Well, and now he's told us the app's crashed. That's not good. Well, we'll give a shout out to Ian. Ian, thank you for listening and commenting, and yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes. No, that's fine. Just other things to think about if you were insuring your own business insurance. Does the broker talk to you about other covers? So you can insure for absolutely everything. And I know people wouldn't want to, and they're in business for a reason, because they're quite, they enjoy risk. So they're not going to pass everything over to an insurer. But I like to be able to at least tell clients what's available and let them eliminate what they don't need. So is your broker talking to you about other covers that are in the market? Because things do change, levels of cover change. And then finally, if they don't do that, do they just simply renew year on year without really checking, you know, have your sums insured changed, have your activities changed? And if they are doing that, I'd maybe just want to shake it up a little and just see if you've got everything that you need in place. And my last point on that would be, me personally, I'd be comfortable with a chartered broker, and there's very few chartered or qualified insurance brokers. So maybe have a look at that too. For some reason, it's never become a mandatory thing in general insurance. It did a few years ago for life insurance. Everybody had to have minimum qualifications. And unfortunately, the FCA haven't done the same for general insurance. Hopefully they will at some stage. But at this stage, anybody can come in, start working in insurance and sell you business insurance, which is a very scary thought.
Oh no, it's the same in accountancy. Anyone can start up an accounting firm and call themselves an accountant with no experience whatsoever. And I've seen it in like the previous firm that I worked in, where someone's called themselves an accountant, come to the end of the year, taken the client's money and not really done anything, and it's a proper actual qualified or experienced accountant had to fix it, and obviously it's cost double the amount because there's a mess. And then so no, I think it's very bizarre, because insurance, if you think about it, is by its very nature about mitigating risk. So you think that they would mitigate risk by having something in place. So presumably you are chartered, is that correct?
I am chartered, yes. Cool. I have taken the time and done all my exams.
Cool. What letters are after your name? So if I'm looking at someone on LinkedIn, like what letters do I look for?
So there's 4 levels. You've got your Cert CII, so that's that you know that they've done their foundation level exams. You've got the DIP CII, which is the diploma. So a few more exams in there. You've got the ACII, that's the chartered status. And then there's the FCII, which is the fellowship for those that have gone further than being chartered and have submitted a big dissertation and super qualified.
Right, fair enough. Sorry, I don't know if you can see this. I can see the comments before you can. And so Ian's come back online. He explained that the app crashed, and he's saying, imagine they made a mistake and blame the software, and then software engineer, I reckon they get in trouble. Sorry, I read that. That doesn't really make sense.
Oh, is that about our app crashing?
Possibly, yeah. Imagine. I think he's talking about. I think he's talking about being a chartered professional, right? So when talking about insurance, like if something were to go wrong, you know, you want someone who's qualified. But then in this instance, he's kind of doing a metaphor parallel with software engineering. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Yeah, thanks, Ian. Appreciate it. No, he's talking about insurance. Yep. See, apologies for the delay. These come in like 15, 20 seconds after you've typed them. So apologies if we've moved on from your comments. That's that. Cool. Oh, another one. Sorry. In terms of changes in the industry, because you said you've been in it a while, what have you seen kind of change, like specifically in terms of insurance or commercial insurance?
The easiest answer to that is over the last 12 to 18 months. Crikey, there's been massive changes in what people are doing, who they're selling to, unoccupied properties while everybody's been in lockdown. There's been changes. A real simple one is that I guess if you're more in an office environment or you've got IT equipment, everybody's got that IT equipment now at home. So the computers that were all office-based are now home-based. As an employer, I guess you've got to take that into account as well, that people are working, you know, I don't know what their setup would be. I guess employers will need to look into that, but they could be working at the kitchen table. They might have a room that they've changed into an office like we have. But then the employer now needs to look at that working environment. You know, are they doing their display screen equipment assessments? They want to make sure that they've got a safe place of work. And then in with that, everybody's working from home. So you no longer go from, I guess, the luxury of being in an office with the IT security and the firewalls in place and maybe the blacklisted IP addresses. You're now vulnerable that you're in people's own home Wi-Fi areas. And not only that, I guess, as people are working from home, they might be using their own devices. So they might be starting to use their own personal, you know, work mobiles for work, their own tablets. You don't know how secure they are. Do they have the multi-factor authentication? And then take it a step further. With people working from home, there's blurred lines now on the working day. Some people might be working longer hours or not if they're super strict. But imagine you're working slightly longer hours. You can see why then people are a bit more tired. Phishing scams have gone up. And I can understand that because you're maybe a bit less alert. You'll click on that email that you're not meant to click on, which then opens up the whole cyber risk. So I guess that's one of the key areas that I've seen is people are taking cybersecurity a lot more. They're looking at it a bit more strict. Just looking at Ian's staff training and equipment. Absolutely. Yeah, just wait. There will be a wave of claims coming in from, I don't know, repetitive strain injury, neck injuries. But yeah, the cybersecurity is the one area that I've seen people have been taking out or taking more insurance out, which they hadn't been before. There was always that thought that I'm a small business, it wouldn't happen to me. Whereas now the cybersecurity world has opened up.
I have another question about cybersecurity, but I have to give another shout out to Ian. He said, love, care, empathy, important now today, slow down, relax. And that's something I can completely relate to. So as you know, we do a 4-day working week, because for me, it's all about, the quality of the work you do, not necessarily how long it takes you to do it. So thanks, Ian, for sharing that. Next question about cybersecurity. This is one I experienced. Why is cybersecurity like a separate policy? I don't know if you know the answer to this, but it's more speculation. But it seems to like I go to a broker, go to you, and I'm like, hey, can I get some insurance? And suddenly cybersecurity comes as like a completely separate thing with its own like terms and conditions. Is it because it's so different as a product, or like?
I wish it didn't though. It would be. I would love to any insurers listening if you can make a product where you've got the office and the cybersecurity together. That would be great. But I guess it's a completely different skill for the cybersecurity. Different type of knowledge, different type of rating that goes into it. But insurers out there, if you can make a combined policy, that'd be fab.
Okay, and I'm going to say 2 more questions, but then knowing me, I'll probably find some follow-up questions. So like, don't ignore this. Do you have any advice for someone looking to start up their own business in general, or an insurance brokerage business?
If you're starting up, starting up an insurance brokerage rather than just getting into insurance.
Let's start with the one you said. So getting into insurance first, just in general.
If you're getting into insurance, then I would recommend just booking those exams. Don't get comfortable doing your day-to-day. Get in, get your exams done, get them out of the way, because it's the fastest way you're going to learn. Experience is great, but it takes a lot longer to get there. So I would recommend getting the qualifications in place. And hopefully one day the FCA will make it mandatory to have at least a minimum level. So if you've already got it in place, then great. Nothing to worry about.
Okay, that's cool. And starting up your own brokerage, what would you recommend there?
I guess there's different ways you can go about it. I chose going down the appointed representative route, where I've got a principal firm in place first, or you can go direct to the FCA. It depends on how quickly you want to get to market. And if you're starting up a business, generally, I have found having a business mentor really good. So I would probably recommend getting a business mentor quite quickly, especially if you're going to be a bit like me to begin with, and it's just yourself, because it can be a bit of a lonely place.
Yep. Okay, that's cool. And silly question to see a follow-up one from that. Is there a difference between a mentor and a coach, or is it just literally just pedantic people splitting hairs?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I bet a business mentor or coach would.
Can I assume it's basically someone you use as a sounding board, and someone's maybe got some experience or different experience, and you can go, actually, that probably won't work, or this is why we think it won't work, and you can just have that kind of conversation, right?
Okay. That's it. And for me, it's somebody that helps me sort of work on my mindset and pushes me on the sales, pushes me on all aspects of the business, actually.
Okay. And okay, final question, and I mean it. Unless you say something super interesting, then I'll ask another question, because that's just me. If I were a new business or an existing business, like how could Squared Insurance help me? How do you help your clients? Like what?
Okay, so what I would do is I would set up a call with you, depending on where you are, or maybe we do a face-to-face, and I would ask you all those questions that I mentioned at the beginning. I'd be super nosy, find out what you're doing, how you're doing it, who are you selling to, what's your future plans. And with that information, I would take it back. I would get quotes in place, and I would tailor a policy to fit your needs. I would, as I said earlier, give you everything. So I might recommend covers that maybe you don't need yet as a new business, but you might want to consider in future, or you might be super risk averse and you might want to take it out now. But I would give you everything that you want to think about, but it wouldn't just be insurance related as well. So I'll touch on, maybe risk management considerations or health and safety considerations for you to think about as well. And if you're happy with that, we would place cover and I would look after you throughout the year. So I'd be touching in and seeing how things are going and keeping in touch, making sure that the policies move as you move, as the business grows.
Awesome.
That would be me.
And then I guess one final open question. Is there anything that you just want to get off your chest or say, or just to share with people? If not, no worries, because I've asked you a lot of questions and you've spoken a lot already, which is a good thing, by the way. Thank you for sharing so much awesome knowledge. But is there anything you just want to kind of just say or make a statement about? Or
I guess part of the reason of setting up as well is that when I speak to clients, they come to me and they're like, oh, I don't really understand insurance. I don't really know what it means. And part of what I want to do is just make the whole transaction easy. Like Amakari, I'm not going to talk to you in industry jargon. I'm going to explain everything that I'm going to be insuring. I'd never want you to be in a position where you're paying a premium and not got any idea of what it is that you're buying. And in fact, I've had that situation with clients in the past where we've spoken about what covers they have in place, had they have any previous claims when they were with their former brokers, and they've explained a scenario, which then has led me to say, well, actually, you did have that covered, but they didn't realise. And again, that brings us back to having that close relationship. So that if anything did happen within a business, that they're always talking to me about it, so I can have a look at the policy and say, oh, actually, yeah, it fits in that section that you have, rather than a client dealing with it by themselves, distraction from the business, paying a premium and never actually using the policy. So yeah, one, make it straightforward, make sure people know what they're buying, make sure the broker's in touch, and yeah, have a closer relationship.
Awesome, thank you. One final shout out to Ian Wilson. Right policies for the right job. Boom.
Exactly.
And obviously, I just want to say thank you for agreeing to speak with me on this live stream. Amakari². See what I did there with the little square symbol? Anyway, no, but thank you so much for doing this, for sharing your awesome knowledge. It's why I like working with you. It's why I'm sure why other clients like working with you. Yeah, and I genuinely appreciate your knowledge and wisdom. So thank you for taking the time.
Yeah. No, thank you. I've really enjoyed it.
Cool.
Less nerve-wracking than I thought it was going to be.
I'm now going to hit the end broadcast button, and it'll give us a countdown. I think that's what will happen.